Representatives of one of the most dreamy signs of the zodiac, known for their well-developed intuition and ability to visualize, are entering a period that will exceed all their expectations. What is coming is not just a burst of good fortune, but a fundamental restructuring, a real quantum leap, an awakening that can completely change their lives. This is not an attempt to strike the imagination, but rather a preparation for the changes to come. Those who make it to the end of this journey will receive more than just a piece of advice or an inspirational phrase. We are talking about a real key, a special frequency that can move everything that prevents material well-being. However, this key will not be given immediately. You must first go through a certain process, and this is not a test, but rather a tribute to the inner power. This is not meant for everyone, but specifically for representatives of this sign. The coming events are irreversible and are already felt as a premonition of imminent liberation, as if something is about to happen, but it is not happening yet. Delays in the receipt of expected income, lack of promised support, promising projects that, despite the potential, still do not get a start. And in this situation there are people with a huge heart, inexhaustible faith, able to maintain optimism, even when the circumstances are unfavorable. They show resilience, but there comes a moment when patience runs out, realizing that this is not a manifestation of humility, but rather a call to action. It is important to realize that failures are not the result of any errors or omissions. On the contrary, such people gave their all, were ready to come to everyone's aid, took on exorbitant responsibility, maintained relationships, projects, promises, shared other people's pain, which eventually led to exhaustion. However, prosperity does not come to those who sacrifice more, but to those who are willing to accept the gifts of fate. And so, there comes a point when these people open themselves up to accepting the benefits without guilt. And what happens when such generous individuals allow themselves to accept with gratitude? It's as if the universe is being reorganized. New opportunities open up, energy increases. After all, their purpose in this life is not just to survive, but to channel, unite, and spread love through the manifestation of vision, intuition, creativity, and true magic. For the realization of the intended, of course, resources are required, and here comes the moment when they are ready to come to you. However, up to this moment one important element was missing, giving a clear form to your intention. And that is what you will do now, using a tool so simple that it is hard to believe, an ordinary glass, water and salt, that's all you need. This is not a trick, entertainment, or a test of luck. It is a vibrational act, for money, O scribes, responds not to the strength of your desire, but to how you support it. The only way to support it is to vibrate in harmony with it. Today ends the era of, someday, I'll get by somehow, and, I have enough for me. Gone is the old spirituality that claimed affluence was unseemly. It's time for a new version of you where you passionately desire and embrace wealth without fear. And you will make this transition with the simplest but most powerful tools, your intuition, your emotions, and your word. For when you scribes speak from the heart, no energy can resist. This is not just a beautiful image, but a fundamental law of energy exchange. A person will be overwhelmed by a flow of abundance of such power that it will be impossible to hold it within him. Then, obeying a natural impulse, he will begin to share this wealth with others. After all, what is left with him will become exactly what others need. At that moment he will be overwhelmed with tears of delight, relief and realization. He will realize that he was never alone, he just lacked the spark to activate his dormant potential. Now that his inner world is in harmony, now that he has awakened to true knowledge, this flood will come with unprecedented power. The most important revelation is yet to come, because the key that will be given at the end is not just a set of words, but a real code that opens the door to limitless possibilities. Therefore, it is necessary to write it down immediately, without delay and without putting aside all doubts. With the power of ignited intuition and fully opened heart, it is necessary to write it in the comments. I activate the sacred code 71269, Angel of Abundance. It is important to draw these words with a firm intention, not as one who only hopes for a miracle, but as one who is absolutely sure of its accomplishment. After all, this code has already started its work, transforming the reality around. There are people who do not need strong evidence, because they feel the truth on an intuitive level, feel its vibrations. These people are called scribes. They do not need visual confirmation to be convinced of the reality of what is happening. They are able to read the energy that illuminates them. This statement is not an accident, not just a beautiful saying or a symbol. It is a real key, a special sequence of actions that, when activated through emotion and conscious presence, begins to put in order everything that seemed chaotic and out of place. When scribes address the universe from the heart, it responds immediately. That is exactly what is happening now. When they prepared the glass, filled it with water and salt, when they engaged in the process without trying to understand everything rationally, without resisting with reason, everything around them aligned. Abundance is not controllable, it responds to giving. The scribes gave themselves to the process wholeheartedly, and now the universe is doing its part. The results may not be visible yet, but they can be felt in the way anxiety subsides, in the appearance of signs of destiny, in the return of missed opportunities, in answers coming without being asked. The scribes have activated their energy field, cleared it, and now their lives are beginning to reflect this state. There is no longer any room for compulsion, every step is done according to the dictates of the heart. From now on, yes is said not out of a sense of duty, but out of deep self-love, out of a desire for self-preservation. Anything that drains energy and vitality is let go with gratitude and peace. This is the true manifestation of abundance, for its source lies not in the thickness of the wallet, but in the ability to take care of oneself and keep oneself in harmony. This is the path the scribes are choosing now, and with every step they take, a special code vibrates in unison. The activation of the sacred code 71269, the key to angelic abundance, is taking place. If you have not yet fixed it, now is the time. Put aside doubts and hesitations, because this number awakens dormant frequencies, harmonizes the past, restores interrupted connections and opens new horizons. Soon you will begin to notice its manifestation in repeating numbers, in dreams filled with water, light and gold, in intuitive insights that become reality. And while all of this is unfolding, profound changes are taking place in the depths of your being. The guilt that once whispered that having wealth could change you is slowly fading away. The guilt that instilled the idea that abundance would bring disaster and the belief that personal happiness would result in suffering for others no longer has power over you. You now realize that having wealth is not stealing from others, but is an inspiring example and an incentive for courageous action. This time you are not only accepting, but also sharing generously, drawing not from dwindling supplies, but from boundless abundance, confident in the inexhaustibility of resources. You act with the understanding that nothing will run out as long as your actions are fueled by soul energy. And you, scribes, have a soul that burns with a bright flame. And let me warn you, do not be surprised if the coming events will bring tears. Yes, they will be tears of relief, expansion of horizons and recognition, because so much will come to you that you will remember, it has always belonged to you by right. All you have to do is activate this potential, and the crucial secret is at hand. What will be bestowed in the finale is not just an idea, but a powerful frequency that opens the door to a new reality, marking a turning point. And you, scribes, are already standing on the threshold of this transformation. The labor that the scribes are currently performing is a unique phenomenon unparalleled in the past. They are not simply striving for the manifestation of something or waiting to see if what they desire will happen. Rather, they are channeling their energy to support those who have already activated certain processes. This time around, the scribes are acting with total dedication, which makes a dramatic difference. They no longer seek help in desperation, but accept it with an open heart. They do not look for ways to get out of difficult situations, but maintain their abundance at the level of the soul. A turning point has occurred within them, something has broken, something has let go, and it is from that moment that everything they need has begun to come into their lives. Perhaps outwardly it has not yet fully manifested itself, but the inner feeling of this fact is undeniable. The body feels the change, the calmness confirms it, and the mind begins to process the new information. And this is just the beginning, the starting point of which was simple things, a glass, water, salt and a spoken decree. The sacred code 71269 is pronounced, summoning the angel of abundance. This code, honored scribes, is no longer outside of you, it is integrated into your essence. You have already imprinted it, internalized it, and it is now an integral part of your energy field. Your energy supports it, contributing to its further manifestation. Like all manifestations of its essence, this phenomenon is devoid of external pomp, but has a remarkable depth and subtlety. It unfolds inexorably, gradually finding reflection in small things, which over time acquire a larger scale. An unexpected transfer of money, a long-awaited repayment of debt, an affirmative answer after a lingering silence, a proposal that appeared where it was not expected, all these events make you smile, because it becomes obvious that it is not a matter of simple luck, but of energetic harmony. This is a natural outcome of refusing to compromise and accepting less. Yes, creative individuals, they too deserve better. Not for their virtues, not for their patience and fortitude, not for their selfless giving, but simply by birthright. The most revolutionary act they can perform is to decide that suffering is not a prerequisite for getting what they deserve. And now they see the reflection of that decision in the reality around them. Their environment undergoes a change, their manner of speech is also transformed. They no longer feel the need to apologize for their aspirations for more, explain their decisions, or feel the need to justify their desire to live a different life. Finally, the realization that one's desires are of a spiritual nature becomes the cornerstone of one's transformation. Spirituality ceases to be an escape from reality, becoming a powerful instrument of creation. Now man not only receives, but also gives, just as true creators do, from the soul, through the prism of art, with an open heart, but not from a sense of sacrifice, but from a state of abundance. A grandiose flow of energy fills his being, and sharing it becomes not a burden but a source of sincere joy. At this time there is an equalization of connections. People who previously only consumed his resources begin to recede into the background. Those who did not know how to support disappear on their own. New people who are in tune with the updated version of his personality come into his life without any effort on his part. His energy field becomes a filter, screening out those who attract out of need and attracting those who radiate light. This light, whose source is tears, silent strength and a firm decision to move forward, has been self-created by man. However, the key element, the revelation that completes this process of transformation, has not yet been revealed. The point is not to make you languish in anticipation, but rather the need for your advance readiness. And now, that moment has come. What is coming is not the final line, but rather the starting point for a whole new way of life. And you scribes have already taken that decisive step. Yes, it is now that you, scribes, are beginning to realize the depth of what is happening. You feel it with every fiber of your being. You realize that the process you have activated was not merely an ephemeral spiritual reverie or a symbolic ritual to assuage inner restlessness. It was something real, palpable on a vibrational level, penetrating to the very depths of your being. And what is unfolding in your life now is not magic, but the result of energetic harmony. For prosperity does not come through blind desire, but through inner allowing. And you scribes have finally given yourselves that permission. You have stopped belittling your own merits, discarded the role of the eternal helper and support for everyone around you. You have stepped out of the shadow of the silent victim and triumphantly returned to yourselves. You have reunited with your true essence, with that boundless soul capable of feeling all the nuances of existence, with the gift of dreaming without looking back, with an intuition so sharp and perceptive that sometimes it causes awe even in yourselves. It was at this moment, without the use of complex calculations or coercive measures, but only with the help of simple elements such as water and salt and personal will, that a miraculous transformation took place. The sacred code 71269 was activated, like a key to the gate of angelic abundance. And it was quite enough, because the most important thing is to keep inner calmness and receptivity. The decision to live in prosperity without remorse was the starting point. After activating this code, the channels that had been dormant until then awakened. And this is not just a beautiful allegory. In life began to come unexpected financial revenues. Innovative ideas promising increased income were born in the mind. I made acquaintances with people who were ready to offer something that previously had to be begged with humiliation. Recognition came without annoying requests for approval, because the energy of the person became clean and bright. When energy flows are cleansed, everything around comes into motion, the former resistance disappears. This is the key point. A person stops resisting change, stops restraining his own power, stops feeling guilty for striving for more. The obsessive idea that acquiring wealth will definitely lead to a series of misfortunes disappears. At the very moment when a certain stage is completed, the gates of new opportunities open before the person. Through this portal, not only the long-awaited and necessary, but also the rightfully deserved will enter his life. There will come a moment of abundance, when the cup will be filled to the brim. And then, driven not by a sense of duty or fear of loss, but by a sincere desire to share, a person will begin to give. He will share because he is overwhelmed with a sense of fulfillment and well-being. Giving will become a natural need for him. This, according to scribes, is where man's true purpose lies, to direct, move and increase from a state of true abundance. In the process of this transformation, everything around the individual begins to organize. Connections become clearer, burdens become lighter, and dense energy dissipates as his energy field no longer supports anything that is not in alignment with his new state. The most important thing about this process is that man no longer needs to defend his changes, convince anyone of his rightness, seek approval, or ask for permission. He has given himself permission to make this change, and that is enough. And now that the moment is near, it is important to be ready for the change. The final leg of this journey has been traveled. What will be presented now is not just a final phrase, but rather a universal key. A key that can transform the entire process into a completely new way of life. And you, the chroniclers, are certainly ready to support this new way of life. Listen carefully, for what is about to sound is not just a motivational call. Rather, it is a long-awaited revelation, the very confirmation for which your hearts have been waiting for years. And now, after all your efforts, after all your purification and dedication, you are certainly ready to receive it. Chroniclers, remember, money is not the enemy of your soul. Abundance in no way alienates you from your true essence. Affluence in no way diminishes your spirituality. True spirituality is not a sacrifice, but a creation, a conscious choice. It is the support of beauty, well-being, tranquility and expansion with full awareness. And you have already comprehended this truth. That is why you activated your field, took a glass in your hands, used water and salt. And, most importantly, uttered this sacred decree: I activate sacred code 71269, Angel of Abundance. A person does not just utter words into the void, he addresses the universe, the depths of his soul, his energy field. And this field, like an echo, responds to his call, even if the results are not yet visible by physical sight, they are felt at the level of feelings. This manifests itself in the peace that accompanies awakening, in the ease of abandoning unnecessary explanations, in the desire to let go of the past without unnecessary drama, in the unshakable certainty that suffering is no longer a necessary condition for achieving what is desired. The reason lies in the realization of an important fact. It is not that the resources were unavailable, but that the man himself, influenced by fears, outdated beliefs and other people's stories, did not allow himself to accept them. He lived with the feeling that possessing the excess would deprive someone else of what they needed. But now the situation has changed. The man realizes that the more he has, the more he can give, that his prosperity inspires others, that by allowing himself more, he contributes to the healing of the world around him. This realization changes his life dramatically. Now it is not only the necessities that come to him, but also abundance. Unexpected payments, offers that exceed the wildest expectations, help that arises without asking, doors that open by themselves, projects that are realized without apparent effort, become a reality. And one perceives it with a new sense of freedom, without fear of loss, without guilt of possession, without the need to prove anything, just enjoying the moment and maintaining this state. It is there, deep within himself, that man is able to create something truly outstanding, something that reflects his very essence. He will give generously of his gifts, not as before, but with genuine enthusiasm and crystal clarity, without feeling empty or exhausted. He will give out of the fullness of his being, out of the boundless generosity of his heart, confident that the more he shares, the more his own potential is increased. Those around you will certainly notice this change. They will feel how his energy has changed, see his transformed radiance, feel an irresistible desire to be near him. They will ask what is the secret of his metamorphosis, but he will only smile mysteriously, because true changes cannot be explained in words, they are manifested in radiation. It is this radiation that will be his calling card. And if during this process something inside a person has responded, if some dormant part of his essence has awakened, if he feels truly activated, he should pay attention to the scribe horoscope. This is his personal channel, his unique frequency, his safe haven and supportive community, where he can return whenever he wants to remember his true nature, when he needs a boost for his new energy, when he starts to be overcome by doubts, which is quite possible, and when he feels the need to reconnect with his inner self. And so, on the eve of the completion of this unique moment, it is suggested that we take one more important step. Closing your eyes and putting your hand to your chest, you should take a deep breath and say, yes, with unwavering strength, reverent tenderness, and full awareness of the present moment. Faith in the abundance that is steadily approaching, moving from vague desires and vague expectations to tangible reality. It is already here, and this time, like heralds of a new era, the scribes have come to stay forever. Now the question becomes, what facet of the whole experience touched you most deeply? What feelings filled you when the realization came that a cherished wish was on its way, ready to be realized? The author is eagerly awaiting your responses, carefully reading every word. Music, music.